technically I suppose it's still good morning because I'm a minute early. So good morning come good afternoon, WTU. Bear with me a minute, my papers have gone in a different order. I don't often go live on the public page. I actually feel quite anxious. It's really bizarre. You know, when I go into the... when I used to go into our private community space, I used to feel very comfortable broadcasting in effect to people within our private closed community group. Whereas today I'm broadcasting on our public page on Facebook. And I feel really quite anxious today. Maybe it's because of for me it's quite, I wouldn't go as far as heartbreaking news. It's crushing news. As many of you have probably figured out by now. Although I haven't been inundated with messages asking why, so hopefully it's been made perfectly clear why. The WTU closed private group on Facebook has been completely deleted, removed, gone, without so much of a notification, a by your leave or nothing from Facebook. Myself and many WTU members have been submitting complaints and queries to Facebook, but so far absolutely nothing. We did have... I can't remember the specific date. It was the day that we launched the 420 raffle, the WTU 420 raffle. It was going to be an outstanding raffle with over 100 prizes to run over 420 days. Myself and Billy Bonds had spent literally, well, more Billy actually, I won't take credit, Billy, and even my daughter took all the photos to build the film. So my daughter took all the photos, Billy made all the video, put together a great audio to it, and we started sharing it out on YouTube and Insta and Twitter and Facebook. And the next thing, we had a notification saying our post, didn't tell us which post, a post in our group had contravened Facebook standards. We've done a bit of digging, various members of our group, and it turns out that hosting raffles on Facebook without licence is not allowed. So that seems to be why we've lost our group. The frustrating thing is, not only have 6,200 people lost their community space where they convened to gather, share support, information, gather evidence, we've lost our timeline, our history. That's what's really kicking, you know. So I'm hoping it'll come back. I'm hoping one day, because I hear of it, lots of people said to me, you know, oh yeah, this happened to be in my group. One was about iguanas, I think it was, or reptiles. And Facebook gave it back after a month. The notification said it was because of the something to do with controlled and dangerous regulated goods, and there were cannabis seeds in the raffle. So it's possible it was cannabis seeds in the raffle. It's possible it was the raffle. It's also possible it was malicious reporting, because on the same day, in fact, maybe half an hour before, an individual with a fake profile, I'm not going to divulge names, was going around writing, I will say, spurious allegations about myself and the WTU regarding another campaigner, who I also shall not name, making out that, I'm kind of arson blagger or whatever they want to call it. So I don't know whether that person has maliciously reported the group, in which case they've just deprived 6,200 people of their community space, which I think is unconscionable. No matter what they think about me or the WTU, because I wouldn't give them the WTU funds we'd raised for them to set up an illegal grow so they could give out cannabis to people. That's not what WTU was about. WTU was about trying to challenge the law. It's always been about finding a solicitor to raise a human rights challenge against the government so that anybody, you know, healthy or not, can choose cannabis and not face prosecution for it. That's what we've always been about, human rights. So, we're going to have to rebuild from the ashes. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be on Facebook. There's no way I'm dedicating 3 years of my life again to something that can be disappeared. Literally, if I didn't have screenshots of the objection to the post, my request for it to be reviewed, Facebook saying to me, yes, we'll review your post and be in touch, there'd be no evidence that WTU ever existed as a private group on Facebook. Gone. Thankfully, I've downloaded lots of the media, all of the live feeds like this one now. Usually I download and then upload to Facebook. The most significant ones, I would say, because usually I'm not physically able. And all of the letters that we've drafted as a community over 3 years, literally from the first letter that we drafted as a community to the solicitor, Robert was the one who ended up responding to that letter, gone. And that's what really kills, you know. We had 6,200 people in numbers on the screen. We didn't have 6,200 people active. The blessing in all of this is that we will rebuild. Unless you kill me, I don't give in. We will rebuild. Don't say that now, you got the Human Covert Intelligence Bill. It means you can kill me. We will rebuild, and we will rebuild our WTU community space, digital community space, to be kept on a separate server that is secured and where no one can delete it. Simple as that. It's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of commitment from other people helping me do this. But thankfully some fantastic people are already filling the void. I've had some fantastic members helping me research fundraising and raffle and lottery legislation. The amount of laws I've had to become familiar with since I started all this, when all I wanted to do was find a solicitor to make a case for us. It's like I wish I'd just fucking studied law instead and just done it myself. Anyway. Oh. It all comes down to money. Or as it is for, well, I suppose my entire life actually, the lack of money. We've got to the point in the WTU progress where we're on the verge of taking the government to court. I mean, we're there. We're on the precipice. And the only thing stopping us is the lack of funds. But now I'm going to have to focus on rebuilding the group, making us a space that can't be deleted, putting signposts on all of the social media platforms, directing people back to our group, in the hope of recapturing our lost membership. The only saving grace in this is because everyone who has made a financial donation, has emailed a testimonial, has become undersigned to our mission statement, or made a comment on the website, you've interacted with us digitally, so we will be able to email out an invitation to you to our new community hub once it is rebuilt. I can't give a timescale on this, unfortunately, because of my own physical limitations, family responsibilities, and the same for all of the people who are volunteering their time and skills to help rebuild our lost community. I mean, it's like we've just been burnt to the ground by a bunch of yobs, and we now have to rebuild. I'm happy to say that the £3,000 that had been raised thus far is secure. It's all being transferred to INS's solicitor holding account for the WTU. It can be returned at any point in time. That had to be done because it turns out hosting raffles is against PayPal regulations as well. So we've had to postpone all raffling, which is one of our main fundraising methods, for the very foreseeable future. We are currently set as an unincorporated association community group, mainly because it was the quickest, easiest way to set up, that involved the less bureaucracy. But unfortunately that has prevented us getting bank accounts and things like that. So it's time to reconsider what structures we can have. I never set out to be a business. I don't want to be a business. Everyone keeps telling me to be a business. I haven't got the energy to be a business. I am a campaigner. I won't call myself an activist because I sit in my house and don't do very much activity, but I am a campaigner for human rights. Campaigner for human rights and the end of prohibition. So, that's what WTU is. We could become a social enterprise. We could become a CIO, which is a charitable incorporated organisation, which involves shitloads of bureaucracy. We could become a CIC, which is Community Interest Company, which is more community focused. It's not a business, it's about the community. So all the monies we're making will be, well, any money WTU makes goes into the campaign. That's where it all goes, literally. We now have a voluntary chartered account, so that's all going to become transparent very soon. So I've got to go through all of this. That means I have to rebuild a whole new structure. We used to have an official board. Sadly, we've lost members through death. Maggie May, rest in peace, God bless your soul. Other members of my wife, they've left. We've had a lot of losses in terms of our board. Rocky moved on to greener pastures. One of our members tried to hijack the group and take it all for themselves, which has left me with obviously serious big trust issues. Who do you trust? So I have to rebuild a board, and we have to become a more official structure. We have to secure banking services. Then we can resume with our fundraising practices. And then once we can resume with fundraising practices, we can then reach out to businesses. And we hope to reach out to businesses to ask them, in effect, to sponsor the WTU campaign. The barrister hasn't said we're not moving forward because of the merits of the case. I mean, there's always said it'll be a challenge and always said it'll be difficult. That's always been made clear from day one. We are going against the government after all. But right now, it's all that lack of money. Previously, we had 6,200 members in our group. Doing some basic maths on that, allowing for extreme poverty of a percentage of our group. If 5,000 members of our group put £1.92 in a week for 52 weeks of the year, we would raise £500,000. That would give security of costs to be able to raise litigation against the Home Office. That's where we were at. We've been trying to have merchandise that isn't for sale, it's for free if you want some. We haven't got flags there, but we've got hoodies, t-shirts, snuds, hats, various other bits of bobs. It's all for free. It's off the WTU website. It's all been donated to be produced to give away for free for more donations. So the idea is WTU is never being financially exclusive. In other words, if you're too poor, you can't come in. Well, I suppose because of personally I've always been too poor and I've never been able to get in, it's been crucial for me that WTU didn't become a financially exclusive club, which is why everything we do is open source and for free. However, that doesn't generate a lot of money for campaign costs. We actually have boxes of merchandise sat in our members' house, waiting to be posted out to our community for free or for whatever donation you can afford. Glitch, hopefully we're okay. This merchandise is available for free for those that can't afford anything to pay for it. You can donate to cover the costs of production and postage, or you can donate to cover and donate to the campaign. All three options were covered in the donation scheme. And bizarrely enough, well, I suppose luckily, even though it's for free, it hasn't been exploited. So that's the most first amazing thing. It hasn't been exploited in the slightest. Second thing, there hasn't been enough uptake, even for lower donations. So it'd be wonderful if people could go and visit the WTU merchandise page on our website, fly the WTU colours and get yourself togged up. Donate what you can. If you can't, still ask for something, because it's literally sat in boxes and it's doing no good sat in boxes. It's no good sat there. So get on the merchandise page and follow the instructions and get yourself something. Then we will be asking businesses to sponsor us, because we need to try and raise a substantial amount of money. In the meantime, I'm probably going completely off script. In the meantime, I am continuing to support many people with their cases. I do not claim any legal prowess or expertise, by the way. All I ever say to anybody that turns to me for help is, this is what I'll do if I was in your situation. And that's literally all I can ever do to anyone, because that is what I will do. I can't offer any more than that. Well, I can actually, because the latest person that turned to me for help regarding a cannabis driving issue turned to me for help. I helped them write their statement of defence. I discussed it with Robert, and he agreed. Very strong merits of the case, very good potential of setting a case precedent to help lots of people in the same circumstances. It's not going to smash the doors down on prohibition. So the fella has now got some pro bono barrister solicitor support. Can't be done for everyone. That is a sad fact, because it costs tons of money that we haven't got. So on very strong cases with very sure merits, things can be done. And it feels a great privilege and a great honour to be participating in those little ways. So we're kind of undermining the very foundations of the law that bind us in all these tiny cases, and all these little tiny wins, these little tiny precedents. And even if they're not wins, all these tiny challenges are making a difference. And these challenges are happening in Northern Ireland, Scotland, England, but none in Wales as yet. Which is good. I'm glad nobody in Wales is suffering like that. But if you are in Wales and you're suffering, contact me, please, because I'm not saying I'm an expert. We might be able to help. It's a heck of a lot going on. That's something. I've gone right off script. Alan Buffrey, veteran campaigner, has already produced. First of all, we had Inside Our Hat and Other Heads, which is available on Amazon. They're all available on Amazon. It's not usually a word I mention unless I'm referring to a lovely jungle that's been exploited. But it is affordable for cheap publishers that haven't got a lot of money. So for that reason, the services are vital, actually. Thank goodness for it. Otherwise, we might not even be getting published. So on that basis, there are novels, or not novels, collections of poems and thoughts. Words of Weed and Wisdom, the second book. And the third book that Alan has taken the time, and it takes significant time, I know because I've been helping, Legalise and Utilise, a commemorative edition, 2021, and that's all about the Legalise Cannabis Alliance, the political party, which I feel maybe we need to become. All proceeds from those books will go to the WTU campaign. And Alan Buffrey has compiled or helped me format, I don't know what the correct word is for the technological things. I suppose technically I've written it with Claire Sperry. Well, Claire Sperry wrote it with me telling her what to write. In other words, it's a community group effort, right? The WTU story so far has been formatted. I've got to send the final testimonials over to Alan tomorrow. So if you haven't submitted your testimonial about the effects of cannabis prohibition on your life, cannabis and its prohibition on your life, please visit WTUHQ.org testimonials and copy and paste, or write your document elsewhere, copy it into the comments box, otherwise you might lose it if you spend ages writing it in there. And it will be included in the book. Then you'll be able to purchase the book, find your testimonial in there also. This is the evidence that thus far has been presented to the Home Office and would ultimately be going to the courts. The idea being that all funds raised from this book will be going to support any legal campaign or any funds that we can, because we need a publicity campaign as well as legal funds, you see. So not only do legal funds required, we need publicity funds. So please look out for that and get ready to purchase it. I do not know what the cost is. It's quite substantial. It's about 222 pages, I think. It will have all kinds of information in there that pretty much, hopefully, our intention is that it would constitute a defence. We don't know this until it's tested, of course. Short of going and handing myself into the police, I have to wait for them to come and knock politely upon my door. I'm just trying to review to see if I've skipped over anything. I didn't number. Always number your pages, forgive me. I didn't realise how much I'd actually updated and how many pages it came to. Hey Jacob, hope you're doing well today, my friend. Jezza, good of you to tune in, buddy. You can be an activist from your home. You are actively seeking change, and that's what counts. I'm being as active as my broken body will allow me. I mean, I am actively breaking the law on a daily basis because I believe it is my fundamental human right to do so. And I will push that until the highest court in the land tells me otherwise. And then I'll probably continue to do so anyway, because I still believe it's my fundamental human right, as it is in other countries. And human rights know no boundaries, borders, nor territories. So what is a human right in one country is a human right in every country, whether or not it has been legally recognised by the judiciary and government or not. Vital to remember that. I am merely exercising my human rights as have been recognised in Mexico, in South Africa, in Uruguay, in Canada, in Spain. These human rights to private life, freedom of consciousness, free development of personality, the right to health, freedom of association, private beliefs and practices, if I didn't already mention that, they have no right to infringe upon those rights until we are causing harm to another. So, By the grace of God go I, and maybe go you all too. Whether or not you believe or not, I pray for everyone's safety. Kind of subconsciously every night, actually. I have done for many years now. It's like high fuel adrenaline. So, we have no group. But we will have. We will rebuild from the ashes with our strongest core. And then from then, we will all reach out and try and gather back our lost members and show them where we've rebuilt. Then we will signpost on all social platforms to show where we are. And we will share out to the platforms rather than living on the platforms. The platforms are not safe spaces to live, even digitally. So we will share to there and signpost back, but no more living there. If you feel you have any skills that you can offer, please come forward. philmonk.wtuhq.org. If you feel you're a business and would like to sponsor us to raise the security of costs so we can assert our fundamental human rights against what I would call a tyrannous government, I'd be really glad to hear from you. You can keep quiet or you can be an outspoken supporter. It's entirely up to you. It's of no difference to us whatsoever. The only thing we won't allow is for you to call any shots. We will not have anyone pull our strings. We are asserting fundamental human rights unwaveringly. So if you want to get behind that, please get in touch. If you want to kind of use us as puppets for your own end, don't bother wasting your time or ours. That's the other option. We could become a SIC and become a marketing agency and sell the fact card, which isn't what we want to do actually. We want to give a fact card away from free. I haven't mentioned the fact card. The fact card is something that's been developed by myself, Colin Craig and Guy Coxall, See That Future, and it is stands for Fair Access Cannabis Terms. It has been inspired by Can Card, Medican Card, and the one from Plea that I can't remember the name of, another Medican Card type thing, which have all got their wonderful merits and pitfalls, etc, etc, etc. But it's inspired by them, and it's also inspired by a defence statement that was published by somebody in See That Future. So it's an amalgamation of all of those things that WTU published, See That Future have published. And it's all been brought together into a tiny, challenge card, based on fact, okay? Evidenced, provable, demonstrable fact that can be presented before a judge and jury in a law of court, okay? With which any individual in possession of cannabis which they find essential for their well-being and happiness, not medical purposes, for their well-being and happiness, which are human rights, in their pursuit for health, which is a human right, they will have the facts with which to, first of all, put that officer on due notice. First of all, yeah, have you done your due diligence, mate? And if they haven't, it will give them an opportunity to do so. And if at the end of that opportunity they fail to do so, it will ask the officer to leave the individual in peace until they are infringing the rights of another. And if the officer still refuses, well, that individual will have the evidence bundles of See That Future and WTU with which to, and the expert witnesses that we can muster, with which to go into court and challenge their charges. Probably as litigant in person, but who knows, maybe with barristers and solicitors to boot. It all depends literally on the context of the case. But this is happening now already, but we haven't even released a fact card. So we're already doing this, right, but without a fact card. But we don't want to sell a fact card because it becomes financially exclusive then. Someone that hasn't got 30 quid or whatever can't get it. And they're going to get fucked still. That means people like me and Colin who've got no money. And that's where we're coming from, right? From the poor people with nothing. We are the ones with nout, and that's who we're trying to fight for and protect in what we're doing. So we want to give it away for free. Make it available for free in its most basic form. But then we want to make it available in more sophisticated formats, in which you will need to sacrifice some cash in order to obtain it. I'm not going to use the word purchase, because WTU is not a business, we're not selling things. But at the same time, we can't give things away at the detriment to the community. So to cover costs needs to be done. So things have to go out at least a covering costs basis for the fact card at least. And then with a potential to donate, to contribute to the fund, and anything. Bear in mind, some of the cards must have turned over £1 million by now. It was 600,000 turnover, not saying profit or makings, but turnover. The last time I did a talk about a card. So they must have turned over £1 million by now, surely. I don't know that for a fact. I'm only purely guessing by the number of cards that were going out over the time and the reports from the newspapers, etc., etc. So I feel, the money's there. People are putting it in. It's turning over, but not into WTU because we're not selling anything. Because we're not a business. What we're actually doing is selling an opportunity. We're selling a chance, if you think about it. We're selling a chance for you to put money in to a legal campaign for you to assert your human rights against the British government in the Supreme Court. And if they go wrong and rule against us, we're not even aiming there actually. It's the European Court of Human Rights where we were originally aiming for. So we didn't even expect to win in the Supreme Court, really. We expect to go on to the European Court of Human Rights. But you never know. With the evidence that we have to present, maybe the Supreme Court would rule in our favour. But without the wonga, we ain't going nowhere. So it all comes down to that. So we could become an SIC marketing company and sell these cards. But that will exclude people. Or we could make them available free in the most basic form. So all you've got to do is be able to print it yourself on a piece of paper, because it's the words that matter, not what it's printed on. And then make it available in more expensive forms. Now, I'm not going to share all of our concepts. A lot of hours have gone in from all three of us and other people, not just the three of us, but other people who support us. I'm not going to shout out all the names for confidentiality purposes, but they know who they are. So thank you very much for all giving it a chance of possibility. We had hoped to launch it on 420, but basically with all the things that have been happening, it's delayed. And also we hope to strengthen it further before it's released to really make it concrete, We're not rushing into this. We want to make it a card that is strong for the card holder, a card that doesn't let any individuals profit but generates money for the campaign so that we can raise the litigation that we need to raise. So that's where we are kind of at today. I will probably start doing live feeds from YouTube from now on and then sharing on to our platforms. In fact, YouTube is as fascist and neo-Nazi as Facebook, so we probably won't even bother. We might well migrate YouTube onto a different platform completely and get away from all this like social control censorship, and go back to like freedom of speech, evidenced argument and things like that on platforms that allow us to speak freely. So all I can ask you to do is watch this space, bear with us with some patience. I'll ask you also, if you visit the website please, if you could go and sign up to the WTU newsletter, because at the minute, unless we have your email address, you will not be getting the invitation to the new community hub, because that is how we have to go forward from here. It has to be email invitation to all the people who have either submitted to the website or set up a financial donation through the PayPal donation button. There's no more raffles. At the minute, the only fundraising there is donations directly, which for merchandise. So feel free to do that. Right, the spasms in my body tell me it's time for me to now go away and relieve my pain in the way that I find fit, not the way that any individual dictates to me. I wish you all health, wealth and happiness, which are fundamental human rights. Bear with me a moment, I'm just going to scroll through in case any questions. So, hi Tony. I hope you're well, brother. Seen you've been in hospital recently. I also saw that you shared photos of your herbal health remedies on fascist Facebook. Be careful, because before we lost our group, one of our members shared a photo into our community space of their illicitly sourced medication. and that nearly got our group shut down. Whereas people sharing photos of their prescription cannabis doesn't get any problem whatsoever. So it seems it's all to do with the provenance of the herb and whether the original cultivator had paid the right people for the license to cultivate and to distribute, and if the people possessing have paid the right people to possess it. That is where we're at. If you have given the right people the right pieces of paper, you can do it. Otherwise, you're going to get fucked by the law. Fucked in the ass by the law. Been watching American comedies. We probably have to watch what we say as well, because I bet swearing like this could get us shut. We need to keep battling, strengthen together, get rid of these big pharma makers. How about podcast? Yeah, I'm up for a podcast. Interestingly enough, I'm not against the pharmaceutical industry. It was the pharmaceutical industry that nearly killed me 4 times and set me on my path. But I'm not against the pharmaceutical industry. It has its place. Shit, I've got pharmaceuticals in my cupboard, and when I need them, I use them. But I use them with great fear and great respect because they nearly killed me 4 times. Someone's saying, I can't understand how I can have a face group on Facebook offering fentanyl and guns, yet WTU gets taken down. Yeah, I can't understand it either, which is why I suspect malicious reporting more than anything else. With that person having been speaking disparagingly about me on the very same day as the group was shut down, my gut says, malicious reporting. I can't prove that unless Facebook get back to me. I don't know. Hi Ali. Pay as you feel or minimum donation. Oh, I like that idea. Someone suggesting here, pay as you feel. I hope you don't mean catch a feel. That might sound fun. Pay or minimum donation. Again, a minimum donation is financially exclusive because if you haven't got the minimum donation, if the minimum donation's £1, which sounds really, really nothing to the majority of people. It took me over a week to save 24p for a first-class stamp at one point in my life. So £1 isn't always expendable income, which is why we've literally had no limit. Maybe a penny could be the limit, actually. A penny a month could be the minimum donation. And then to give what you feel after that. That could be a way forward. I love that suggestion because then it is still all-inclusive. I think we still need a box that says, I've got no money, please let me still join. Right then, I haven't got an abundance of comments, which in one way is negative, because where are you all? Why aren't you chatting with me? And on the other hand, it's great, because it means I can just go and get off. I've now got to go and collect the testimonials that have been submitted in the last week, that will then be published in the coming WTU book. All of the other ones that were in the evidence bundle previous to that are already in there. We just put out a last minute shout out for anyone who wanted to have their story put into the WTU story. It's not finished yet by any means. No, it's not finished by any means. Right. Lots of love and light, people. Where the heck is the finish button? Right, keep your spirits high. Please get in touch. Keep your suggestions coming forward. Don't be disheartened. Everything happens for a purpose. We will emerge from the ashes like the bright phoenix and be stronger. So I can't wait to see you on the other side. Love and peace, folks. I would hate for all of this to fail due to money. Someone's just written before I go. Thank you, David. Yeah, that's actually quite crushing, the amount of effort, not just by myself. I hate it when people say, oh, Film Monk, because it's not just Film Monk. It truly is a community effort of probably hundreds of people. I literally can't remember every name that's contributed and helped, which is a lacking on my part. I wish now that I had kept an exhaustive list. And I suppose if someone went through all of my interactions, then it could be found out. I physically am not able. But it all comes down to money. Yeah, literally all comes down to money. And that's the most gutting part, really, because I'm seeing other organisations, and no discredit to them when I say this. I don't have anything against these groups. They're all doing what they feel is right. That's bloody marvellous. But it's maddeningly frustrating to see that turnover of cash, that if it turned over through WTU in the last 3 years, which it had opportunity, we have provided that opportunity to everybody. Although we haven't sold you a single thing, we've provided you that opportunity. But too few have taken it, and on that basis, it might all wither to naught. That simple fact. It doesn't mean I'm going to give in, though, because I'm not one for given in. So it'll be adapting, reevaluating. First of all, we've got to rebuild, reevaluate, and then strategise, plan forwards. Obviously, we haven't managed to raise the money. Why not? How can we raise the money? These are all the questions we need to have. And we will have them in our new community once it's built, which will have a board and other structures. So it's not just looking like it's all just me, which it isn't all just me. I did have a small admin team in a group that's now been removed. Thankfully, I still have the admin team. So, bear with us, folks. We will be coming back. Live light and peace. Keep spirits high.